Welcome everyone to ACDE number 174. Um, so we'll cover Dan Kuhn today, some updates on the Goerli fork, client updates. There's also some RPC discussion that people wanted to bring up. And then aside from that, Guillaume has a Verkle EIP to discuss, and then given it's Dev Connect next week and US Thanksgiving after that, it makes sense to figure out which calls we want to have in the next couple weeks and whether we want to cancel any of them. I guess to start, so on the Goerli Shadow Fork, Perry, I believe you shared this analysis. Do you want to give us a quick walkthrough of how things went?
Yeah, so we had a Goerli shadow fork earlier this week. We basically synced up all the nodes to Goerli head, then started a new beacon chain and forked off a small section of the nodes, so roughly 21 nodes. And afterwards, we set the Denkun fork. So we enabled Denkun on Goerli. Since then, we've been running Zatu to collect all the metrics, so blob arrival times, etc. And the analysis is shared there. I think there's nothing insane that pops out. There's a couple of like regular spikes. We're still not 100% sure why. But besides that, block processing times and gossip times look really low, but that's also kind of expected considering it's a really small network. The main takeaway or the thing that we're yet to properly analyze is the amount of time it takes to build payloads, etc., doesn't look very high. And we're still getting organic transaction gossip from Goerli. So the question is just, is there anything else we should be trying on this network before we delete it?
Thanks. Anyone have anything they would like to see on the Shadow Fork?
Yeah, I mean, my intuition is given we're doing the CL networking rework, and given that so far things look stable and it's a good test that we probably have what we need and we're probably going to want to run another one and potentially after we run another one at scale, but after we have the rework on the consensus layer.
Right. This is basically our baseline before that change comes in.
Yeah. So I mean, as a baseline, it sounds like it worked. I don't personally see more stuff to do right now.
So I guess for the next ones, do we see value in having it on Goerli again? Would we want to go straight to mainnet for the next Shadow Fork? Yeah, the teams have an opinion about that. Or DevOps.
I think mainly we'd prefer continuing Goerli Shadow Fork because it's relatively most of the upgrade changes we're going to notice are peer-to-peer layer, and renting more nodes that can support the Goerli network is cheaper than renting more nodes for mainnet. We're definitely going to do a mainnet shadow fork before we do the official mainnet fork, but the question is just, do we do that earlier or later?
Okay. Okay, in that case, I think, yeah, it probably makes sense to do Goerli again as a first one, and if there's no issues, then move to mainnet. Um,
Yeah, I'd be an advocate for that, doing a large Goerli after doing a small Goerli, then doing a small mainnet, then doing a large mainnet. But again, after we're past another couple of dev nets with the fix, or at least one.
yeah, I agree. I would do at least one DevNet with the final spec changes before we do another shadow fork. Does anyone see the need to do another shadow fork before that?
Yeah, for DevOps,
Sorry, you broke up a bit there.
actual underlying logic.
We heard about half of what you said, Daddy.
How about now?
That's better.
I said just barring, unless DevOps is just trying to strengthen DevOps tooling, I wouldn't continue to do them now.
We're used to testing in prod, we're fine.
Nice. Okay. Anything else on the shadow fork? Okay. If not, so the second thing on the agenda, so there was a PR to add the Bolob gas price to ETH3 history. And then in the comments there, there was a proposal to also have like a single RPC method that returns all of the gas price related values. But maybe Alexi, do you want to start walking us through your PR, and then we can discuss sort of the alternative proposal that was posted in it.
Yeah, let me try to present. Sure. I see. Just a second. Let me know if you see the screen.
Yeah, we see your editor and your terminal.
Okay.
And now okay, we see your GitHub.
Cool. So let's start from very brief description. What is blob gas and why do we need API for it? So blob gas is like a gas in addition to regular one, but which is used for blobs and is relevant for blob transactions for now. And to understand how much, what price, maximal price for blob gas is needed to be mentioned in a transaction, we need to provide some kind of estimation. To include this data, after all, into blob transaction, specifically the field max P per blob gas. To do this, we can query it through a new endpoint. There are two variations. Initially, if gas prices was provided, and the form of this endpoint it's a pretty simple method that returns several values. Regular gas, which can be used like a regular gas cap for the transaction blob gas, and max priority, which can be set as a tip for transaction which started working from EIP 1559. And a simpler version of it, if we just return blob gas price, and it can be used when posting, when sending blob transactions. I have no strong preference. I thought that the first approach could be more optimal because we return this data based on the same structures like blocks, and it could be one method because usually all these values are queried together. But after all, we can do just a batch call, which is can be done quite simply, and may work too. Another update is for history. In addition to regular gas ratio and base fee, fees per such kind of gas, we could add the same for blob gas, and other fields do not need any change because they are like report are about priority fee. That's the update I would like to propose, and happy to hear feedback. So
Thank you. Does anyone have thoughts, preferences on the various options?
I will post the link with the examples and description to the chat. Thanks.
Okay, so there's a question about whether this already exists in GraphQL. Uh, does anyone know?
Pretty unlikely it does not.
Okay. Um,
I mean, I shared some thoughts on the PR, but I generally would prefer to have ETH underscore blob gas price because that sort of follows the pattern that we currently have. And don't, unless there's like a strong reason to do the gas prices. So I was hoping someone might make an argument for that, but like as it is, we don't really need to return gas price as far as I know, because that's kind of a legacy value. We really just need the max priority fee and the base fee, and now the blob fee, the blob gas price. So I would prefer to have it as a separate method and just expect people to batch the RPC request.
got it. And I know, yeah, so there were some comments on the agenda and in the Discord now for having a single call. Yeah, does anyone want to make the case for why batching them or why combining them in a single call is better? If not, it feels like we should at the very least add blob gas price. That seems kind of like a no-brainer. It also seems like a no-brainer to update ETH fee history to also include the data there. How do people feel about merging those two? And then if, the bundled method maybe doesn't have to be part of the spec, but if clients want to offer it, they obviously can just add extra JSON RPCs, but that at least on the JSON RPC spec, we'd have a single method for ETH blob gas price. We'd have the blob values as part of fee history, and then the rest is sort of an optional thing clients can do. Oh, and there's an argument that clients should not do stuff that's not in the specs, which unfortunately we can't control what clients do. But I guess, yeah, does anyone disagree with merging the single blob gas price method and the changes to fee history and not having the combined one? And worst case, we can also always do the combined one later if there's enough demand for it.
I'm not sure if there is any L2 people or someone who was working with ethers who wanted to chime in, since they're the people who are using this method. I guess not.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess, yeah, let's, sorry, please.
I was gonna say we can try and follow up with those folks
Yeah.
asynchronously, but
Yeah.
simply we'll move with the one method and updating fee history.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else on that? Okay. If not, anything else on Denkun at all that wasn't included on the agenda? Okay. Then next up, Guillaume You wanted to discuss Verkle proof verification precompile.
Yep. I mean, it's more like I was trying to, bring people's attention to it. So it comes from a conversation I had with some people from Open Zeppelin at first, and then other people afterwards. Let me see if I can share my screen. Yep, should work. So yeah, it's really about collecting input. The idea is simple. It's that because Verkle entails a lot of complex math, updating a lot of tools, the idea that came up would be to use a proof verification precompiled, so offer a precompiled so that, for example, bridges or forgot the word for L2s, but L2 bridges, let's call them, or even application developer could verify Verkle proofs so that they don't have to wait for all the libraries like Open Zeppelin, like Foundry to get up to speed. And like get up to speed and implement that in Solidity. So it's just about adding a simple precompile. So currently I suggested 0x21 as an address, but yeah, of course that can be changed. And the idea is that it receives a chunk of memory that starts with a version byte, and then just the proof where the proof data can be found. Actually, so it first receives a version byte and then a location memory where the proof data can be found along with its size, and also the state root of the tree that is that the proof is proven against. And what the precompile does, so it's upgradable if we want to move on to a different proof system. But if version is 0, we use the standard polynomial commitment scheme suggested as like polynomial commitment scheme based multi-proof that was suggested by Dankrad. And otherwise, so we return 1 if the proof verifies and 0 otherwise. And there's also, like, the EIP also describes gas costs. So I think the model is not really complete. For example, I realize it's missing some data to actually verifying the IP proof, but that will be updated. But the general idea is, you have you have this constant point cost that corresponds to every time you need to deserialize a commitment. So it's paid for each commitment that gets deserialized, and then you need to evaluate the polynomial at some opening point. So you also pay that for each opening you have to do. There's not much more to that. I mean, clearly it's something that needs a lot more input. So that's why I want to bring your attention to it. Of course, if there are questions, I'm happy to answer, but it's more like a call for core devs to pay attention to that.
There's a hand up by DevConnect Berlin.
Yeah, hello.
Hi.
This curve is over Bandersnatch, or sorry, like this proving scheme would be over Bandersnatch, the curve?
Banderwagon.
Banderwagon, okay. So I guess my question is how it relates to the BLS 12 curve, and if there's any interplay between those set of precompiles and this one.
How does it relate? Yeah, I mean, I forgot which of the two fields is the one from BLS, but otherwise, it's my understanding is that it's a completely different curve. I'm not an EC, elliptic curve expert, but my understanding is that they are different, and so you could potentially, I guess, use that precompile, that BLS precompile, but you would have to re-implement all the proving yourself, all the commitment, sorry, the multi-proof proving yourself. Yeah. So that means that every application developer would have to re-implement that, and the goal of this contract is to save some time.
Right. Yeah, so we just have precompiles for both then, because that's something I'd like to do for the next hard fork is the BLS12 381 curve. But yeah, it sounds like they're like almost similar, but not quite exact.
So they are completely different curve. Yeah. So no, the BLF precompile cannot verify the Verkle proofs. We could add a Bandersnatch precompile. I think that would actually also make sense, probably. I think my preference is actually to have a state verification precompile. And the reason for that is that when we change the state in the future, we could make it backward compatible so that smart contracts can be built that verify part of the state, and you can just upgrade the state commitment, and the smart contract could be completely the same and would so it could be an immutable smart contract, and I think that would be preferable rather than having to have lots of smart contracts upgrade if we do need to change the state commitment in the future again.
Got it. Dano, you had your hand up. Yeah.
Yeah, this might be a controversial take on this, but I think one of the great things about 4788 as a precompile is that there is EVM code that says this is the precompile, this is the canonical answer. So this kind of goes against kind of some of the idea that, why wait for OpenZeppelin to implement this in Solidity? What if all precompiles going forward, that the canonical form is a form of Solidity or Viper or Phi or whatever, and that defines it in, modulo gas. We're going to have to change the gas schedule on that. And that the clients could do a precompile that would optimize that. But it would truly be a precompile at that point. There would be an uncompiled version that is the canonical. This is a reference implementation. This is the correct state. And it would solve a lot of problems in, devs who aren't, PhDs in cryptography trying to, get the small little details of these curves correct when they don't necessarily have a large set of test cases to run against.
And so the implication here is you can implement any of them in Solidity, basically.
Right. And early on, when you don't have, when we're doing the next hard fork of the client, you just slide that precompile, you slide the EVM in. And then when you optimize it, you come check it and you got some local code that'll always be correct.
So this curve specifically will be used for Verkle trees anyway, right? So all clients will need, we have already created libraries for that. I think currently the general position is that client devs never touch the cryptography themselves, well, unless they are really comfortable with it, and that we have ready-made libraries, and this is already the case for Verkle in this case. So
yeah, Verkle does kind of change this argument a bit, since it's going to have to be part of the client. But I think it's just an idea I want to put out there for cryptography.
Yeah,
it's not necessarily
I think the idea is good.
integrated.
I was commenting on this particular EIP.
This is a bit off topic, but could we do that for BLS? Or because I remember the whole debates around EVM max were to allow us to build BLS on a one, but
I know the Epsilon team at one hackathon did through EVM Max the existing precompiles. I don't know if they moved on to BLS 12 and using EVM Max.
Right. Got it. Okay. And I guess back to just the original EIP, I assume there's an ETH Magicians link. People can raise issues there. But were there any other questions about the EIP?
Are there specific implementations you can point to of this, like the multi-proof PCS?
The multi-proof PCS itself, yes, there are. There's, one of them is Verkle. The other one is there's a Python implementation, reference implementation, in fact, by Dankrad, and there's a Rust one. I think, there might be a Nethermind one too, a C# one by Nethermind. But yeah, there's no implementation of a precompile itself, but it's going to be easy to cobble together if that's what you need.
Yeah, just curious. Maybe toss links to those repos and the ETH Magician's thread.
Sure.
Cool. Anything else on the precompile? Okay, Epsilon, there's a comment around saying they've started implementing BLS and EVM Max, and after Dev Connect, we'll know if it's possible. Anything else people wanted to chat about? I had the call scheduled, but if there's anything more substantive, we can get to that first. If not, so next week there's Dev Connect. So next week we should have had a testing call on Monday and ACDC on Thursday. The people want to keep either of those. Yeah, does anyone feel like there's value in having them, or should we wait until either the week after? Just as a heads up, that'll be American Thanksgiving on the Thursday. Yeah.
I was thinking if we don't do the consensus layer call, I might ping on that Thursday the Discord and just ask for like a quick written update from the consensus layer teams on getting through the networking changes and surface any issues that maybe have arisen or unknowns at that point. And we could do a similar thing the week after on like Wednesday if we don't do the Thanksgiving call, US Thanksgiving call.
We could also have the call on a Wednesday, you know, if we want to have one the week after and not skip 2 weeks in a row.
Well, and I guess one of the main things that will come up in that time period is if there are open issues or questions related to this update. So I'm also okay like doing the ping a couple times and then scheduling an ad hoc call if we need it.
Okay, that works for me. Does anyone have, oh, Ben?
Yeah, just interested in signaling. So just delving back into history, when we were planning the Capella and the Deneb Cancun upgrades, we committed, we broke the en passe about delivering both together by committing to doing 4844 as a fast follow-on to Capella with withdrawals. We're talking about June, July time, which is amusing in ambitious in retrospect. But I'm concerned about the optics. You know, these week here and week there add up to delay over time. We've seen it time and time again. And I know everyone is working super hard on delivering Deneb Cancun, but because I'm inside the process, but from outside the process, you know, cancelling 2 core devs calls in a row the optics don't look great to me. And I'm starting to see things hotting up again on the need to deliver this thing. So that would be my case for keeping the calls. Obviously, there's no point if nobody's going to be here, but I think generally that should be our default approach.
Yeah, I'm also, I mean, I have less of a strong opinion on the Dev Connect one, just because there will be a lot of people there, even though there's maybe a bit less than expected. I do like the idea of having your written update though from client teams so that we can still get a status update. And I'm happy to keep, I'm not American, so I'm happy to do the one on US Thanksgiving the week after that, and or to move it to like Wednesday if that means more people show up. So either of those is fine for me. Yeah, and maybe I don't know, maybe we can get teams to chime in on the Discord if they have a preference, but yeah, I agree. Like skipping 2 might not be ideal, so we can maybe do next week's async, get an update from teams, and then figure out the best day for the week after that. Do people think that makes sense? Okay, I'll post something in the Discord, get some more feedback from client teams. Oh, now there's more and more support for having the calls. Okay, I'm fine either way. I don't know, Danny, do you want to do a quick call next week?
I don't mind. I'm comfortable either way. I might not live stream it given my remote capabilities and setup. I might even take the call from a phone, but
I think we can
I'm comfortable
probably,
getting on.
I think we can probably find someone to live stream it. Yeah, okay. Then let's keep both calls. I guess, okay, let's default to this. Let's keep both calls. If like a whole team cannot make a call, then share a written update on the agenda and we can kind of point to that, at least on the call. But there will be a call and we'll try our best to live stream it, but worst case, we'll just upload the Zoom recording later. And yeah, if your team can't make it, just share an update.
Yeah, when I toss up the agenda, I'll make a comment to, if you can't attend, to share an update in the agenda.
Sweet. Anything else? Oh, and I guess maybe the only one, I just wanted to double check. Do we want the testing call Monday as well? Or do we, especially given these awkward devs have become shorter, I would lean towards canceling next Monday's testing call though, and just having ACDC next Thursday, ACDE the Thursday after that, and then whichever next, I think the next testing call was scheduled for the Monday after that one, so November 27th. But I think having just one sync call next week is probably sufficient. Does anyone think we should have the testing call as well on Monday? Okay, cool. So let's do that. We'll add a note in the agenda and we'll share something in the Discord. Thank you, Ben, for pushing us to stay on track. Anything else anyone wanted to discuss? Okay, well, thanks everyone. I will see you all at, or most of you at DEF Connect next week, and then we'll see everyone on ACDC, whether you're at DEF Connect or not, next Thursday. Talk to you all soon.
Thanks. Bye.
Thanks all.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thanks everyone. Bye.